Switching gears, Indiana basketball recruiting. I'm sure that they're still digging and churning in the portal, but it appears a lot of attention has been shifted towards 2024. Part of that, though, is because the AAU season has begun.
Sure.
But a lot of offers out for the 2024 class by IU here of late. One of the 25 to, gosh darn it, Dominique Wilkinson.
Mm-hmm. Really good player.
Cool. Yeah. 6'8" guy, Mike, big guy too.
And Mike Woodson has a good relationship with Dominique Wilkins because when he was the coach of the Hawks, Dominique Wilkins was on the TV team. So I'm sure you'll at least be able to get in the door and get a chance to talk to the young man. But in terms of next year, I still think they need to find at least one more guard in the portal. And I think they're probably looking for one. Whether they get one or not, I don't know, because I think that's what a lot of schools are looking for. People are making the same comment about Louisville, that they need to get another guard. The problem is now, the pressure's on. It's sort of when I've been told it's a seller's market. If you're the player, you've got more options than, the schools that more schools need you than you need them. And, this late guys who are going in the portal now, I don't know if you really have as much time to sort of vet them and talk to them and see if they're how much they really fit in your locker room. So you're taking a chance in some ways of bringing somebody in who didn't succeed or wasn't happy enough in his old place to stay there, and you have to keep your fingers crossed that he's going to be happy in your locker room.
Is there an element to missing out on some of these guys? And we've been debating this the past week, I guess, when Indiana has swung and missed on some of the guys that they've targeted. They've looked for wings, they've looked for shooters. Is not Mike Woodson not developing these guys playing into the into this decision? And what I mean by that is they really haven't developed a shooter, and that's desperately what they need. Jalen Hood-Schifino obviously played really well. Lottery pick, Trace Jackson Davis, but he's a big guy. He never really developed much of a shot.
Right.
To me, that's a big factor, along with the fact of the style of play in the Big Ten, because some of these guys that they Chris Ledlum, and now I'm blanking on the other guy, both go to Tennessee.
Dalton Connect.
Yeah. Both those guys go to Tennessee. So to me, we haven't been able to develop shooters and get them to the next level. And I know it's early in Woodson's career. And then the other aspect is the style of play in the Big Ten. I mean, do you think that those are factors or not really?
What I'd say is this. One, I don't think we will ever really know the reason why guys go to different schools. We don't know what the NIL opportunities are, one versus another. We don't know what kind of promises are made at schools in terms of playing time.
True.
Or what you're going to be doing. What I think is fair, and also in terms of developing shooters, I think that's a hard thing to do anyway. I mean, a lot of guys, you can either shoot or you really can't shoot. You can maybe make somebody a little bit better. I don't know if you can radically make somebody improve, but what I think a fair criticism and say that I don't think they have featured shooters.
Sure.
They haven't run an offense that really has played to the strengths of the shooters that they have had or have gotten them shots. And even Miller Kopp has sort of hinted at that a couple of times. He's made comments like he got what was left over or he got the shots that he got. And so I think that is probably something that opposing schools use to recruit against Indiana, saying, well, if you watch the way they played the last 2 years, it's mainly high pick and roll, and the point guard and the center get all the shots. And, they're going to have to show people that it's not going to be that way. And I think they're going to have to actually change and not for it to be that way because, as we've talked about many times before, Indiana's lack of reliance, lack of interest in making the three-point shot an important part of their offense, I think is a bad strategy. It's a bad strategy because you got to make threes to win, and it's a bad strategy because it doesn't appeal to two guards and wings that are really good.
Right.
And picking up the Khalil Ware as their first major piece,
right?
Doesn't do anything. It does not do anything to dissuade that. And as a matter of fact, it almost perpetuates it to these guys. They're like, "Oh, so that's your main focus." I mean, I can see how a kid can look at it and say, "So things are not going to change there."
Right. I agree. I mean, I'm sure that other schools are telling them that. Look at who the first 2 players they got out of the portal. Peyton Sparks is a guy who does all of his damage within 5 to 8 feet around the rim. And Khalil Ware, although he is supposedly a decent shooter, he's also a big who's going to be playing, down by the block. That's where their focus is. So they are the ones who have to break through on that in some way. And this has been going on, though, at IU for a long time. It went on under Archie where, it was 2 years of Trace. And before that, it was Juwan Morgan. And they haven't played that way really since Crean was there. Right? I mean, they haven't.
Nope, I agree. And that is exactly what they're going to have to do and get to, but you have to have the players to do that. Now, they do have guys that have to be expected to step up. CJ Gunn, Caleb Banks.
Correct.
From that, those guys have to move forward. And
I agree.
I think Caleb Banks will. I've said it over and over. When he came in toward the end, he started getting his opportunities. He kind of made the most of them. He doesn't score 15 points a game, but I think there was a game or two that he did score and get up to double figures, and it was limited minutes.
Right. What I saw from Banks was that he wasn't afraid. He never looked like he didn't belong out there. He looked like he was a guy that wasn't the main option, and he wasn't even the top 2 or 3 options. But when he actually got the ball, he wasn't afraid to try and do things with the ball. He was able to handle it reasonably well. He rebounded. He blocked some shots. He looked like his shot was, something that could be a weapon. So yeah, I think he has a chance, obviously, to step forward and be that kind of player. Now, Gunn, he shot the ball poorly. What was he like 2 for 26 on threes? It was some really outlandish number. It wasn't good. But he has the credentials, and his shot looks good. His form looks good. It just didn't happen for him last year. So of the guys that nobody's talking, they're the 2 guys that if Indiana's looking for somebody to really be an impact improvement, they have to be the 2 guys. So, and I think they can be. I don't see Gunn was 2 for 24. I don't see like Galloway. I don't expect him to all of a sudden become Matt Roth. That's not going to happen. It's not his game. The guy who's always a total mystery to me, and he's a great kid, is Anthony Leal. I just don't understand why he's not any factor at all. He played more as a freshman than he did as a sophomore. He came there as a shooter, and he's not really ever like turned the corner in any way where he could even go in there for a team that's playing zone and give you like 5 minutes. I don't get it.
I don't either, because you would think that with his he's what, a junior?
He's been there 3 years, right?
Yeah. So he's got the experience, and he's all in. He's always in. You look at him on the bench, he's in.
Great team guy. Great team.
Yes, he's not checked out. He's always into the game. He's always helping. I did a thing a while back during the end of the season where he was talking about he's listening, calling out stuff, scouting, yelling stuff out to him. But you look back, he played for a Bloomington South team that didn't play probably the strongest schedule in the world. It wasn't the weakest, but they're not playing, an Indianapolis schedule. They did play a good team like Floyd Central that I remember they beat them on a last second shot by Anthony under the basket. But I maybe, I don't know if it comes down to defense, if that's what the worry is. The speed, I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, you would sure think that he would be able to give you something. And looking at CJ Gunn's stats from last year, 3-point percentage, 8.3. That's almost in.
I mean,
oh my God, he was a great shooter. He's a great shooter in high school. He shoots 80% from the free throw line.
He'll do much better this coming season if he gets an opportunity, and the coach's staff say, "Hey, go out there and relax and shoot. And if you don't make any, don't worry, do it again the next game." you're going to keep getting opportunities. And then I think he'll turn the corner and he'll be good. I mean, when he's out there, he defends. He's a decent enough ball handler. His shot looks good. He just looked like a kid who was pressing. And then if he didn't make a shot, it was like, oh, I don't know if I should shoot now. And I think a lot of players go through that. And then eventually they break through that and they don't worry about it anymore. And they just play. So, if you look at, that's the thing with IU. I mean, Bates, I think a lot of people thought he would be that guy who could be a two guard or a wing, and it just never happened for him. Geronimo, I think there was some hope he could be that guy. He just was never a good enough shooter. I don't think he's a guy, I think you could work with him in the gym for a million years, and he's never going to be a great shooter. He just doesn't have the fluidity in the shot mechanics. It looks like he's like thinking about his shot all the way through. Okay, elbow in, eye on the rim, step forward, follow through. It just doesn't come natural. Over the gun, when he's shooting the ball, it looks like he's naturally a shooter. So that's been the issue. They need to get a two guard or a wing who's just a dude. I mean, we've talked about it before, whether it's a Troy Williams type guy or Victor Oladipo or whoever it is, somebody like that.
I was trying to find Victor Oladipo's stats from when he was in college.
He did make a big improvement.
That's exactly what I was trying to find.
I can find him for you.
I couldn't get him pulled up quick enough, but because he's a guy that comes to mind instantly. That reminds me of this. That was not a good shooter. He did not come to IU as a good shooter. Worked, and became a good shooter. Worked his way
up. As a freshman, 8 for 26, 31%. As a sophomore, 10 for 48, 21%. And as a junior, 30 for 68, 44%. So he made the step forward. But as you mentioned, he was the year before when he shot 21% on threes, he shot 75% from the line, which tells you he can shoot. He just needs to practice more threes and get more relaxed doing it. And I think that's where we're at with Gunn. I think he can shoot. And he is a guy that if he's taking 500 shots a day and he's in the gym now every day, I expect him to make a step forward. Gunn and Banks and Renew should all be much better players next year.